Hi guys, how are you all? This is FJ What If. Today we are going to discuss about what if Naruto was king of Shaman and had Spirit of Fire Part 5. Before we start the episode, please like and subscribe my channel. Chapter 5. Meet the family. Naruto double-checked his map before squinting at mist-covered island in front of him. He was on the first leg of his journey, reaching Wave Country to rent a ride to ferry him to Uzu. He spent an hour combing the shore for a boat to get him across, but all he found was an abandoned fisherman's shack without any boats to hijack. This is so not good, murmured Naruto. This was one of those few moments in time that he wished he could mold chakra so he could water walk to Wave. Oh well, Soph. The chibified GS appeared in a burst of fire as it hovered in front of its master waiting for an order. Armor OS mode. Naruto barked as his body was engulfed in fire before it dispersed to reveal Kurobina. He floated a few meters off the ground before flying forward at top speed, causing the waters to part as he sped to his destination. It didn't take long for him to arrive at his destination thanks to the enhanced speed Kurobina granted him. He dispersed his Soph before making his way to a fisherman town indicated on the map. He was surprised though when group of bandits came out of the mist-covered trees, carrying rusted weapons and sporting bloodthirsty grins on their faces. He looked around to discover that he was surrounding, effectively cutting off any escape route he might had if he ever thought of escaping. "What have we here, boys?" the burly bandit exclaimed as he eyed the expensive clothes Naruto was wearing. "I think we hit the jackpot. This is so not my day," murmured Naruto before addressing the man in front of him. "Can I sweet talk you into letting me pass to avoid this foolishness?" "There's no foolishness here, Gaki. You entered our territory, then you need to pay the toll," the man said with a leer. "Toll? Well, I don't mind. How much is the toll?" asked Naruto as he reached inside his poncho towards the pockets on his pants for some money. "Everything you own and your life." The bandit leader grinned as he hefted the spear, preparing for an attack. "I don't think that is a fair price," said Naruto with a smile. "Tell you what, if you let me go then I will spare your lives. Is that all right? You have balls, kid, I'll give you that, but, you RK. The bandit leader was cut short when a clawed hand gorged him from the back. What? Was all he said before he was burned to ash, revealing a man-sized Soph with its claws outstretched. The bandits took a step back, their faces showing fear as their leader was easily dispatched by an unknown creature. What are you?" asked one of the bandits carrying a kunai. Naruto didn't bother to grace that with a response, but instead, gave his GS an order. "Dig in," the shaman ordered with a cold look on his face. He watched the massacre happening in front of him as his GS destroyed the bandits, eating their souls before burning them to ash. Their screams of pain was music to his ears. He wasn't bothered by their deaths since these people deserved it. For him, they were scum that needs to be cleansed, and he was more than happy to take care of it. When Soph finished feasting on their souls and disposed of the empty bodies, Naruto continued his walk towards the fishing town of Wave Country. He found the place quite depressing, as if the happiness was sucked out of the place, but he didn't delve into that further since this wasn't his business. He made his way to the nearest bar to gather information. He went to the counter where a rather gruff-looking barman was cleaning an empty glass with a clean white cloth. "What do you want?" asked the barman without even looking at him, continuing to wipe the already clean glass. "A cold drink if you have it," Naruto replied, causing the barman raise his head and leveled him a look. "Aren't you a bit too young to drink, Gaki? How old are you?" 10. "I'm 12 and I didn't say alcohol. If you have cold juice or something then I would appreciate it since I'm a bit thirsty from the walk," Naruto retorted with a smirk, which the barman returned. "Pineapple juice for you then," said barman as he filled a glass with a yellowish liquid from a pitcher. He dropped a cube of ice before serving. "Enjoy." "Thanks," Naruto said before taking a sip, liking the taste of the drink since it was fresh and sweet. "Is this the place where I can get some information?" "About what?" the barman asked nervously, his eyes suddenly shifting to the various patrons as if someone was watching him. Naruto narrowed his eyes at the man's sudden change in demeanor but pushed it to the back of his mind. Again, it wasn't his business to pry in the town's current state of affairs unless it concerned him. "Do you know anyone who can rent me a boat for a short journey? I'll pay any price as long as it's reasonable." The barman's expression turned from shifty to one of surprise. He smirked before answering. You might want to look for Kato in the fisherman's nest near the pier. He often takes passengers from here to the mainland and back. Where do you plan to take the boat to, Gaki? Uzu, answered Naruto, causing the barman to leer. Why do you want to get there? There's nothing in that island but ruins. The barman pointed out. Naruto nodded before drinking the rest of his juice. I know, but I still want to go there since I have an interest to see the ruins up close. You're not a grave robber, are you? The barman asked in an accusing manner, though there was a greedy glint in his eyes that Naruto immediately noticed. Kami, no, exclaimed Naruto before deciding to stick to his fabricated story since he wasn't of a mind to announce to the world that he was an Uzumaki. My aunt was one of the survivors of Uzu before it was destroyed. She was telling me stories about her life there and described the place. I want to see it with my 2 eyes before going back home to Hai no Kuni. Ah, curiosity, huh? So I guess you're an Uzumaki then? Asked the barman in interest. Naruto shook his head in negative, faking a sigh as if he wished to be one. Nope, I was adopted, Naruto replied with an absolutely straight, making the barman nod. You're right on that note. Uzumakis either have red or black hair, no blondes as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, it's not my business, so don't want to pry. If you want to go to Uzu, then you might want to find Kato. He usually takes some tourists to Uzu during the peak seasons for 100 ryo a trip. Since you're the only one, you might have to rent the boat and pay a larger sum for it. The barman advised. That made Naruto smile. Thanks for the information, said Naruto as he placed a few notes of ryo on the table, payment for the drink and an extra for the information. He nodded to the barman before making his exit. It didn't take him long to find the fisherman's nest thanks to some helpful villagers who pointed the way. A drunk lounging outside pointed him to Kato, who was quite tall and had a no-nonsense air around him. I heard you were looking for me, Gaki, Kato said gruffly as he nursed a sake bottle on the table. You want to rent my boat for a trip? News travels fast in these parts, Naruto said dryly. I won't beat around the bush then. Can you take me to the ruins of Uzu? You alone? Kato asked immediately, squinting his eyes at Naruto as if trying to finding something wrong with him. Yes, and I'll pay extra to make it worth your while. Then I'll charge you 500 ryo a trip, double the price if you want to return. Take it or leave it, Kato said gruffly, discouraging any possibilities of negotiations since business was quite slow these days. Deal, said Naruto as he fished out the agreed amount from his pocket without bothering to play around with the price. He was well off after all, and he didn't want to deprive the man of his income. My type of customer, Kato said in approval as he pocketed the money before finishing the rest of his drink. When do you want to leave? How long will the trip take? Naruto asked curiously, since this was going to be his first time on a boat and he didn't know how far Uzu was from his location. Kato thought for a bit before answering. An hour tops since the weather is good. Maybe we can leave in an hour, he asked the man and got a nod in reply. Can we stay the night or do you want to return immediately? Kato shrugged as if he didn't care. I don't have anything else to do for the week, so I can stay overnight or 2 if you wish, but you have to get the supplies for the 2 of us. I don't have any extra money to buy the stuff to set up camp. I don't mind. He really didn't mind since this trip was more important than any money. He could fly back from Uzu using his soft, but he didn't want to arouse anyone's suspicion. After all, flight was an impossibility in the shinobi nations, well, except for a chosen few in Konoha anyway. Is there a shop around here that sells camping supplies and maybe some food for us? There's one next door. Tell the man there that Kato sent you. He'll give you a discount and I get a referral fee for pointing you his way, Kato said with a grin which Naruto mimicked. I'll provide our food. I hope you aren't averse to fish, Gaki. That's fine. I'm not a picky eater. I'll be back in an hour for our trip, was all Naruto said before turning to leave. He needed to buy enough supplies for a 2-day trip if he wanted to get the most out of his stay in his mother's homeland. As Kato predicted, the trip from Wave to Uzu took an hour. Naruto thought the money he paid the enterprising fisherman was worth it, as the man expertly navigated the natural whirlpools that protected the island home of the Uzumaki clan. Kato landed on a destroyed pier and tying his rope to the pole that jutted out of the water before making his way to Naruto, who was staring at the forest path in front of him with an indecipherable look on his face. Uzushio is half an hour walk along that path. I'll set up camp here since the weather is nice so we don't have to worry about strong winds uprooting our tents. Kato told the distracted shaman as he placed the supplies on the sand. Kato, I'll go to Uzushio alone from here. I'll come back in 2 days. Naruto said distractedly. He could hear voices coming from the ruins but they were whispers and couldn't make any sense out of it. You sure you don't want a guide, Gaki? Asked a worried Kato. I can manage. You don't have to worry about food either. Find some for your own and I'll take care of my meals while I check around the ruins. I'm sure that the forest have a few game I can catch if I get hungry. Naruto assured the skeptic fisherman. If you insist, Kato said with a shrug. As I said, I don't have anything to do for the week so take your time, Gaki. I like staying here anyway since the island has a soothing presence to it for some reason. Thanks, Kato. See you later, was all Naruto said before following the path to the destroyed home of his ancestors, leaving a confused fisherman behind to set up camp. Naruto stood on top of a hill overlooking the ruined village of the Uzumaki clan. The Sandaime Hokage provided him with his accounts of the downfall of the Uzumaki clan, Iwa, Kumo, and Kiri banding together to finish off the powerful clan that was renowned throughout the elemental nations for their prowess in the sealing arts. He instinctively knew that there was more to the story but that was the extent of the Hokage's knowledge in the matter. From his perch on the hill, Naruto could see that the village itself was designed similar to the Uzumaki swirl. The streets, despite the ruined buildings, twirled inward until it stopped at the large rubble at the center of the village. According to his surrogate grandfather, the center of the village was the home of the head of the Uzumaki clan, the Uzukage, the strongest Uzumaki of the generation before the torch was passed on when the current leader steps down. Naruto didn't know how long he stood on top of the cliff as he studied the village below him. He didn't notice as his feet started moving, taking him down to the village proper. His senses tingled as the Furioku in the air crooned at him, caressing him, welcomed him. He didn't notice the various spirits materialized, making a path for him towards the center of the village. Naruto didn't notice the faces of man, woman, child as he trudged on as if in a trance. He didn't notice that none of their faces held anger or suffering, only calm acceptance and curiosity. He didn't know how long he walked but he was broken out of his trance when he found himself in front of a ruined tower, the Uzumaki swirl still visible amongst the rubble that was once the symbol of the fabled building at the heart of the village. He wasn't prepared when an aged man with long hair wearing a samurai armor appeared. Welcome, youngster. It has been quite a while since a living Uzumaki graced this island. I welcome you back home, young Uzumaki. The apparition spoke in a calm, yet powerful was startled by the aged spirit's greeting. How did you know? The blonde asked immediately. How did I know that you are of Uzumaki descent? How did I know that you are a shaman? How did I know that you are a descendant of the shaman king himself? The spirit asked rhetorically with some amusement. Ah, yes, Naruto asked dumbly as the spirit laughed. You still have much to learn, young shaman. Despite being given the knowledge of your ancestors, your education is woefully incomplete. But that can be solved in time. You are starting a new path so you will learn what you should know if you had a master to guide you. I guess you could say that, Naruto said with a nod of agreement. I take it that you will be answering my questions regarding the Uzumaki clan. While you're at it, can you tell me your name? If that is what you wish then yes, I will answer your questions. My name is Uzumaki Genji, the Godime Uzukage. Follow me, young one, as I lead you to your destiny. The aged Uzumaki leader turned towards the ruined tower and phased through the rubble. Naruto stared at the spot before grumbling about insensitive spirits. He manifested his GS and had it move the rubble aside to reveal the first floor of the tower completely intact as if an unknown force protected it. He dismissed the spirit before entering the archway and followed the narrow corridor until he found himself in a small room. The spirit of the Uzukage smiled as he gestured towards the swirl on the wall. Place a drop of your blood on the swirl to reveal the secret chamber underneath us. The Uzukage instructed. Naruto complied with the specter's orders and bit his thumb to draw blood. He swiped the bloodied digit on the seal causing it to glow. A trap door appeared on the floor in the middle of the room to reveal a set of stairs leading downward, spiraling into the unknown. The Uzukage merely phased through the floor to the chamber underneath. Seeing the darkness, Naruto called soft light his way before entering the trapdoor and followed the stair as it spiraled to the catacombs below. Naruto didn't know how long he traversed the stairs, but he eventually found himself in a dimly lit chamber. He sent a mental command to his GS, resulting in the spirit's increased illumination, revealing the chamber to be a giant library containing hundreds, if not thousands of books and scrolls. He saw the spirit of the Godime Uzukage sitting on a large chair behind a relatively large desk. He beckoned for Naruto to take the seat in front of him, which the shaman complied. The specter spoke as he made himself comfortable. What you see before you is the sum of all knowledge accumulated by generations upon generations of Uzumakis since the clan's conception before the Jubi's appearance in the elemental nations. This is practically the reason why Iwa, Kumo, and Kiri attacked, hoping to acquire our clan's legacy and make it their own. However, they couldn't find anything since I ordered the clan to transfer all of it here in a hidden chamber underneath the Uzukage Tower, the walls and foundation protected by seals that made it impossible for them to tunnel through even if they discovered its existence. Genji said smugly to Naruto, who frowned. Why is the knowledge so important that it merited the destruction of the clan? Naruto asked with incredulity. Unlike other shinobi village that prized ninjutsu, genjutsu, iriojutsu, kenjutsu, and bloodline abilities, the Uzumaki clan mastered and advanced the art of fuinjutsu to a level that made them fear us. Genji informed Naruto, who listened in rapt attention. For example, the seal that holds Kyuubi inside you is considered a pittance to the real seal that was designed for holding the most powerful Biju without sacrificing the caster's life. The Yondaime, your father, was considered a seal master, but even he couldn't modify the seal to protect himself from summoning the Shinigami and taking his life as payment, nor expected the side effect of sealing your chakra forever. The blonde groaned. Despite having accepted the fact that he couldn't become a shinobi due to his inability to mold chakra, he still hated the fact being thrown to his face. Damn, you spirits tend to gossip a lot, Naruto murmured, causing the aged specter to smirk. You, being a shaman, should know how boring the afterlife is. We spend most of our time on the mainland listening to the news and happenings in the elemental nations. You can say that not many are hidden from us, and you should know that Uzumakis are a curious bunch, Genji said with a twitch of his spectral lips. I definitely can't deny that, Naruto said with a smirk. You should. Now, young shaman, what brings you to your home soil? I doubt you're here for sightseeing. Curiosity, I guess, Naruto shrugged. I just want to see my mother's homeland and possibly converse with a spirit or two about the clan's history. It was pure luck that I found you. He paused. Or rather, how you found me. Genji nodded. You can say that your being here is destined to happen. Sooner or later, you would have eventually made your way here for one reason or another. As to your quest to learn the history of your ancestors, everything you need to know can be found in this room. It is yours to keep since you are my direct descendant. What? Naruto exclaimed in surprise. You mean to tell me that you're my, great-great-great-grandfather? That's too many greats, Gaki. Grandfather should suffice, the specter said with a pained look. You didn't think that your mother went to Konoha on a whim, did you? Your mother was requested by Uzumaki Mito, one of the princesses of the Uzumaki clan, when Konoha was brought up from the ashes of Senju Hashirama and Uchiha Madara's battle. She was the first Jinchuriki of Kurama before your mother, my great-granddaughter, was requested to head to Konoha to become the second. She was lucky to be called away too, since the war started when she left this island. Whoa, slow down, old-timer. Who is Kurama? Exclaimed Naruto, since his grandfather's answers led to more questions. The Uzukage saw the helpless look, causing an amused expression to appear on his face. You really should take time to talk to the Kyuubi inside you. After all, the beast knows the history of the world, being the oldest of the nine-tailed beasts. To answer your question, Kyuubi is merely a title, not a name. His name is Kurama, the eldest of the nine. That was the result of the Rikudo Sennin's actions of splitting the Jubi's power before sealing its body into the moon. I am so getting a headache, said Naruto as he massaged his temple. He was getting a headache from the disconnected information. It would have been bearable, but answering one question opened up for more. It was infuriating. You're not really that good in answering my questions, grandfather. If what you say is true, then everything I need to know is here for me to read and discover, correct? Yes, though I suggest that you start with shelf on my left. Everything there holds the history of our clan. There's even a few information there about shamans, but you have to comb through the records to find them. I suggest that you don't take the library with you since you couldn't use storage scrolls with your inability to use chakra, though there is a way around that if you're of a mind to hear it. That little tidbit perked Naruto up. There was a way for him to mold chakra. You mean there is a way for me to use chakra? You said that my chakra is sealed of permanently short of unsealing the Kyuubi. You can't mold your own chakra since the seal holding your Biju ensured that. However, there is no stopping you from using your tenant's chakra since it is already a combination of both physical and spiritual energy, though in a more potent form. I'm sure Kurama wouldn't mind lending you his strength if you ask for it. Oh, why in the world didn't I think of that? Naruto exclaimed in disgust for not realizing that little fact. Because you don't know what a Biju is capable of, nor have you really learned what chakra really is. I suggest that you take your time to comb through the records since I know you're not in a hurry. Naruto looked around and couldn't help but grimace at the number of books in the chamber. 2 days is not going to cut this. I think I'll send my guide back to Wave. I can easily leave the island easy enough, but I didn't want to reveal my ability of flight. You know, you shouldn't hide your abilities. Genji chided his grandson. Unlike shinobi, a shaman is the nexus between the world of the living and spirits. You should let the world know that a shaman once again roams the land when the Rikudo Sennin left this world. You're doing it again, you know. Naruto said dryly. He looked to the shelf his dead grandfather pointed out earlier before letting out a resigned sigh. I guess I better get started. End of chapter 5.